My dear friends, it's time I told you about one of my most favorite movies of all time, Hot Tub Time Machine. I kid you not. This thing is packed deep with meaning, emotion, and a mirror held up to human nature. If that sounds like a lot for a time-traveling hot tub movie, it is. And it absolutely works. This is one of those movies that I've lost track of how many times I've seen it. It's at least 20 ever since it came out in theaters and went and saw with my dearly departed friend Jeff Klitzner, whose memoir is up on the shelf behind me, Call Me Tennessee. And one day I'll do dramatic readings for that. But before I get into the specifics of the movie Hot Tub Time Machine itself, probably the most important thing that movies do for me is provide alternate ways of looking at reality, of looking deeper into the human experience, of seeing things that I didn't know or understand. Movies with big old veins of meaning and truth in them, that's what I really like. And so I will watch a movie again and again and again as I mine out the meaning it has to offer to enrich my own perspectives, to augment my mind palace, and to change me ultimately. And when I think I've gotten as much as I can out of a movie, then I'll stop watching it. Might come back now and then just for old time's sake, but eventually I let the thing alone. And I thought I'd reached that point with a Hot Tub Time Machine, but just recently something was telling me that no, go back, there's more. And I watched it last night, and sure enough, there is. There was plenty more I had to get out of this thing. So what kind of movie is this? Well, it's a time-traveling, existentialist, horn dog ski adventure comedy. That's a lot. And while I was watching it last night, I had to get up and write down on a sheet of paper what exactly this movie is. Because it's more than just your standard comedy. And in it, we get an ensemble cast. And this may be the greatest strength of the movie because the chemistry between these folks is the best I've seen in any ensemble cast. You got John Cusack with his legendary acting chops. You got Clark Duke, who I didn't know before this movie and was really comfortable on screen with the bigger names and talent that he had to deal with. He was fantastic. Comedian Rob Corddry, we're going to get back to what so impressed me about him, but he is manic and amazing in this movie. Comedian Craig Robinson delivers some fantastic lines and really adds to the mood. You got Chevy Chase in his most frustrating comedic role I've ever seen. Crispin Glover, that weirdo, he brings his unique energy to a bellhop role that you will remember for the rest of your life. And Lizzie Kaplan, and probably her most enchanting performance I've seen, and she's a good actress. And the vibing off each other in every single shot would make me think that these people really knew and liked each other. Hopefully they did on the set, but the director got out of them perfect chemistry. The interplay is authentic. The jokes land one after the other. And yes, they are crude jokes because these aren't classy people we're talking about. Our four main characters, Cusack, Corddry, Robinson, and Duke, are four men that are experiencing the nadir of their existence. That's the very bottom of the barrel. They each have a unique crippling problem that they've got to deal with to start the movie off. And so they decide to go to the ski lodge that the three oldest of them remember being the place where their best memories from early adulthood lie. They want to recapture that magic and introduce it to Clark Duke's younger character. And then the time traveling happens. And this movie, believe it or not, does take its time travel premise seriously. And it shows up throughout the movie. It's not just a one-off plot device to get them to where they need to go. And it has some pretty interesting thoughts to add to the time-traveling genre. So they get to the ski lodge. It's not as nice as they remembered. They wind up getting drunk in a hot tub and then wind up back in the 80s. Hijinks ensue, and I think this is an amazing movie. Rob Corddry is part of what I think is the most intense best kiss scene of any movie. And I bet you didn't have that on your bingo card, did you? Well, I certainly didn't. But every time I see it, I am just drawn right into the intensity of the scene going on in front of me. John Cusack delivers the most insulting yet uplifting pep talk I have ever seen. We get the most epic ending credit sequence I remember. And you remember the troubles each of the main characters had that I mentioned that they start the movie with? Over the course of the runtime, we get an exploration of basically the inner life of men. Because each scene, each interaction, each bit of dialogue, each trouble, each setback, each triumph, they all spoke to me. Like I could relate to every damn one of these things. So the ladies in the audience, you might not get as much out of it because you don't relate as much to the characters, but dudes out there, watch this thing and go on the field trip with these characters. It'll teach you a lot about yourself and maybe help you resolve some issues that you have. Now, the main female characters in the movie, they're fully realized characters. They have their own motivations, doubts, dramas, hopes, and troubles. But this isn't told from their perspective. So they present challenges and opportunities to the male characters, which is really what women are supposed to be. At least to men, they're to challenge us, to inspire us, to torture us, to motivate us, to do more, to achieve more, because we're programmed to want them. And a smart woman knows how to get a man to do what she wants. It's as it's supposed to be. Nobody get mad about that. Because if a woman will do what you want, then you should do anything that you need to get her to deliver for you, buddy. I'm very lucky in that regard. I got a wonderful wife. And the soundtrack on this thing. For the young bucks out there that never spent a lot of time with 80s music, just listen to this thing and you'll feel it's a different energy from a different age. There's a reason that people keep sampling and remixing 80s songs today to make their hits, because the stuff was good. It's entertaining, it's uplifting, it's got a hell of a lot of heart to it. And the relationships between the characters are kind of aspirational for the relationships that we should hope to have for ourselves. So my dear friends, I highly recommend Hot Tub Time Machine. Let me know what you think. And yes, there's a sequel. It's not bad. I'll get to it. Oh, and there's tits. Really nice tits. Would recommend.